Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we get a roll call, please?
Jeff Zweig.
Here.
Christopher Mellon.
Here.
Pete Gipp here. William Byers.
Here.
Tim Fortier.
Here.
All present, Chairman.
Thank you. Is Sheila,
Yes.
do we have elections?
So we had not had them. Remember, we didn't do them yet because Christopher wasn't here.
Sorry, guys.
And he was here, he's here now, so he
Okay.
had he's somebody on this thing. And so we never had him because he wasn't here.
Okay.
Okay.
So which offices are we,
Just the whole thing and
Whole thing?
whatever, yeah.
okay. I don't know why I didn't see that when I was looking earlier. So we have elections this evening. First one would be for chairman. Do you have any nominations?
I move that we keep you, since you know more than we do.
I second that.
I'll accept the nomination. Do you have a vote on it, please?
Jeff Zweig.
Yes.
Christopher Mellon, yes.
Yes.
Pete Gipp, yes. William Byers.
Yes.
And Tim Fortier, yes. Okay. 5-0.
Thank you. Our next position would be co-chairman or vice chairman.
I would recommend we keep Mr. Byers as vice chairman.
I'll second that.
We got a first and a second for Mr. Byers to stay in his chair. Vote, please.
Jeff Zweig.
Yes.
Christopher Mellon.
Yes.
Pete Gipp, yes. William Byers.
Yes.
Tim Fortier.
Yes.
That damn spin don't work.
We have secretary's position or recorder. No, secretary's position. And again, I'd like to make a motion, we keep you in place.
I'll second.
You accept it?
Yes.
Okay. A vote then?
Jeff Zweig.
Yes.
Christopher Mellon.
Yes.
Pete Gipp, yes. William Byers.
Yes.
Tim Fortier.
Yes.
All 5-0.
No, the attorney's appointed. So that's our three positions?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. That's okay.
All right, we have minutes from February's meeting.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second the motion.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, they'll pass as is.
Sheila, you got an extra pen? Oh, no. That's all right, I'll get one. I'm not holding. Go ahead. Got a faulty pen.
Oh, well, you need a good pen. All right, do we have any communications?
Not at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right. I will call the cases by case number and name of petitioner. I would ask that you come forward, state your name and address for public record, at which time you will be given the opportunity to present your case accompanied by any professionals that you may have with you. After that, we will have a staff report pertaining to each case presented this evening. We will then have a question and answer period from the board members. We will then open the floor for comments, not questions from the audience. If you are desirous of speaking for or against any case, we ask that you please sign in at the registry in the center aisle. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will then render either for or against, ask for a deferral for more information or other reasons which we will state, or the board will make no recommendation to the town council. Would you please silence any communication devices that you have at this time? All right, we have some old business this evening. Case number Z4VUL-0225, Toomey for Health LLC petitioner and owner located at 8560 Broadway. Variance from use approval on .88 acres in a C3 highway commercial zoning district to operate a crematorium.
Good evening. My name is Alex Kutanowski. I represent the petitioners. I have Mr. Jim Kyleman here, the architect on the project. I do first want to apologize. We had some confusion. Our clients couldn't be here tonight. The last meeting, they were tending to their elderly father, who has now passed away, so they're in Peru tending to his matters. And talking with Sheila, we thought it was prudent to proceed forward tonight without them and hopefully provide the board with as much information as we can. Our clients are husband and wife. They own the property in an LLC. The husband is a internal medicine doctor. His wife, Rachel, operates in the practice. She's currently going through her processes with regard to the licensing that may be required for this type of operation that we're talking here tonight. So I think we'll get into some discussion about the proper licensing that may be required to operate, depending on what the board's decision may be here or what the council's further decision may be. So they're fully aware that by gaining this approval here at the BZA level or at the council level, there's still additional things that they would need to do from a state licensing standpoint before they would ever be able to operate on this property in the fashion that they're seeking. So what we're doing here is proposing a variance of use for the real estate located 8560 Broadway for the operation of a crematorium. I'll allow Mr. Kyleman here in a minute to go through kind of the specifics of the building or how the crematorium actually operates. But before I do that, I'll address some of the findings of fact that were as part of that application. So the reason we're here for a variance in the first place is that the town code doesn't provide for this type of use in any zoning classification. So either way, whether this property or another property with a different zoning, we'd still be in front of this board asking for approval. Second point is that the operation will not be injurious to the health, safety, or moral or general welfare of the community. What Mr. Kyleman has drawn up here is a professional style office building. If one didn't know what the operation was inside, you'd never be able to tell from the outside. It would blend in. It would look just like the other professional offices that are up and down Broadway. The style of construction is something that we took into an account and had a lot of discussions on how this would look along the corridor. Cremations themselves are becoming more prevalent with the cost of traditional burials these days, and so we think that this proposed use is something that would provide a service to the community that's in need. The third point is that it will not have an adverse effect to the adjacent real estate. Again, this parcel's been vacant for a long time. It's never been developed. Mr. and Mrs. Augusti have owned the property in the LLC for several years. And we think that the kind of location of this, we've had conversations with a couple of the property owners who don't seem to have any concern with it, but how it's kind of located right now in between and kind of set back off of Broadway, we don't see any impact to the adjacent real estate values. The next point is that the variance arises of a condition that's peculiar because of the operation, and why it's peculiar is because the operation itself isn't set out specifically in the town code. And so it's not like the petitioners can go find another location for this to happen, or they're not in the proper zoning. The town code requires this type of petition to come before the BZA. The last point is the hardship on the matter, and I think, again, we're back to a situation where any property would need this, right? So they've purchased this property, they've held it, they feel like this is the best use for the property with regard to their ownership of it, and they'd be in the same situation if they went anywhere else. So the hardship is here, or the hardship is next door or somewhere else in the town of Merrillville. It would still exist that we would have to be here asking for the approvals. There's no classification, like I said, for crematoriums, and so we don't believe that the master plan sets out where these types of operations would go. And so we don't think that it would interfere with the master plan in any way, because again, it's gonna look like and operate from the outside just like a professional office building would. So I think it'd be prudent for me to kind of turn it over to Jim and give you kind of a layout of the floor plan and maybe some renderings of what the outside of the building looks like, and then we can come back and answer any specific questions the board may have.
Good evening. I'm Jim Kyleman. I'm with Professional Building Services in Crown Point, 111.5 West Joliet. We were approached by Dr. and Mrs. Augusti to do a design for the building and the site. It's a simple building, one-story building, and it's, like Alex said, it's designed with adjacent properties. It's a fairly decent-looking building. I think you all have copies of the renderings that were submitted. It does not have a chapel, so this will only be for immediate family. There's waiting area, there's a small conference room, office, there's a crematorium space, which is open to a small viewing area. There is a pretty good-sized walk-in cooler for staging of remains, and then there's also a fully enclosed area with an overhead garage door for transfer inside, fully enclosed. So that's about all I can tell you with the building. If there's any questions about anything regarding the building or the site is existing. It's pretty heavily wooded. There's a lot of scrub trees on it, but it is fully covered. We're going to save all the trees that we can save to help screen this. The Augustis they desire to keep as much of that as they can. So we don't want to just come and scrape that lot off, and so we're going to reuse as much as we can of the existing vegetation. So that's about it. Any questions, please feel free.
Thank you. Staff report, please.
Petitioner is seeking a variance of use from the zoning ordinance to operate a crematorium at 8560 Broadway. The proposed variance of use will not be injurious to the public health and safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the establishment of the crematorium is a professional office-style building, will be complementary to the surrounding developments and community, the community which is needed and lacking in the area. The proposed variance of use have a substantially adverse effect on the use and value of the properties adjacent to the said property because of the exterior of the proposed development. There will be no notable differences in the variance arising because the zoning classification, which is in addition to the topography and location, has left this area undeveloped. The strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the proposed variance is sought because there are currently no zoning areas that allow for this type of use. Yet petitioner states that there is a high demand for the service this development will provide. Petitioner will have operating procedures that include daily safety checks that will ensure the fire extinguishers and safeties are readily available and in good condition. They will verify the necessary permits and documentations for each cremation necessary, including consent forms, identification. There will be procedures in place for intake and of the remains, preparing for the cremation, post-cremation cooling period, interaction with the families, compliance, and recording keeping, maintenance, and cleaning. The staff will be well-trained on the equipment, operation, safety protocols, customers, service, and environmental responsibility. The town of Merrillville will not provide a business license until all local, state, and licenses and environmental permits have been obtained. The crematorium will have approximately 5 employees, and the hours of operation will be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Petitioner was deferred on February 26, 2025. A representative from the Funeral and Cemetery Service attended the meeting to drop off a copy of the Indiana Code and Indiana Administrative Code for funerals and cemetery services. And this is for this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
Thank you. I'll bring it to the board for questions.
I guess my first question would be, is normally, do you have a crematorium without a funeral home, or is that?
Yeah, and so it's possible, it's a different style, and I think it's gonna become more prevalent than it has been in the past, just because the costs are just continuing to rise. And a lot, in talking with the Augustes, I think a lot of the clientele are like long-term care patients that are looking for this. And is he telling me to speak in the mic? Is that? He's telling me? Oh, sorry. So there's a lot of long-term care patients that are seeking this type of service or this type of operation. So a lot of funeral homes, some are, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them are not in this type of business. They're in the traditional burial business, and the older funeral homes don't have the setup or the capabilities to do cremations. And so I think some of them are probably getting into it, and probably will get into it more and more, but it's definitely not a necessity to have a funeral home. And basically, this is giving individuals, because of the low overhead and because we're not operating a full funeral home, it gives them the lowest price possible to, provide that service to their loved one and memorialize them in one fashion or another.
Can you kind of describe how they receive the remains and what happens? Because recently, in the newspaper,
Yeah,
I'm sure you know about it, from Crown Point to Illinois, they stacked up the bodies in a truck
right,
for a year.
correct.
So we don't want that at Crown Point.
No, and that's, and being that I represent the city of Crown Point as well, so I'm familiar with over there. We didn't have any of the, be careful with what I say here. We investigated that on several occasions. There was no, sorry, I keep forgetting. It's kind of a hard angle. This thing needs to be over here or something. We didn't have any bodies being stacked up in Crown Point, or none that were being stored there. We had several, visits to that site. Now, whether they had some connection with what was going on in Illinois, I don't know. I think the doctor here comes with pretty good credentials from the standpoint of he doesn't want to risk his medical license for something that he just sees there's a need for in a different avenue to provide a service. But as far as how they'll be transported in, my understanding, and talking with Jim, I think he can clarify, I think they're brought in as and serviced at the same time, right? Or within close proximity to each other, so there's not a storage or a backlog of remains here on the premises. And really, how we have that set up, there's not room to do that. There's no, I mean, you'd literally be seeing them, outside of the facility, and that obviously would draw a red flag with code enforcement and anything else. But being that this is in a high-traffic area of Broadway, there would be no way that that would occur without the town having immediate knowledge that that's happening. Yeah. So Jim, I don't know if you.
Yeah, and the clients are fully aware of some of those issues. These types of facilities are located in other larger cities out west primarily. There are a number of them. They just attended a convention out there specifically for this. So it's something, as far as transportation, a lot of that will be done through funeral homes. There's not going to be people dropping off remains. No, this has to be done according to law. So, and anytime there is someone that's being cremated, they have a very large walk-in cooler where they will store up until the time that they can process and move them along. So the clients are fully aware of all of the regulations and the rules that they're going to need to be in compliance with.
Is this a traditional cremation or is it the aqua cremation?
It's a traditional.
Okay.
It's our understanding too that, I think the equipment that's used these days or the operation itself has come a long way from where it was even 10 or 20 years ago. And so they're highly efficient. You're not gonna see a big stack outside, just, like a factory or something with smoke popping up out of the top of it. And so they're virtually, like I said, unnoticeable that any operation is happening there. Everything, the trucks pull inside, there's, all the unloading happens inside.
Right.
It looks like an office building from the outside.
What is the cost of a cremation, the average cost?
Oh, boy, I haven't had one lately. I don't know, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. A lot less than a traditional burial is what they tell us, but I don't know.
Or won't you have like a set price, or does the price change?
On that site, they are gonna have a memorial garden, that they can, parts of remains can be scattered. It's a rock garden. You'll see it on the renderings. It's very large in the front with some benches around it. Most of the remains are going to be taken off-site, and with the loved ones, and so it's.
I don't know what the pricing is,
Yeah.
but I think that
It says here that they're several $1,000s, to the low end being $500.
yeah.
And I don't know what those levels, I don't know. The urns, I don't
So
know.
they are.
They have a processing station inside the crematorium where after the remains are cremated, they process them in a machine, and so it's a modern operation, state-of-the-art equipment.
Is there a requirement either from the state or is the requirement of how many remains you can have on site at one time?
I don't know off the top of my head, what that may be, and it's probably, if I had to guess, it probably varies based on your site and your operation. And so, what our plan is here is to, if this, proceeds forward, would then be to go to the state with the design and the location, and then file for our appropriate licenses down there. Presumably, they'll come back to us and say, okay, yes, we'll give this to you with these conditions or rules that you need to follow. Yeah. But again, I think that'll all be determined based on the size of the cooler and the size of the location and number of employees that can operate, and so whatever. And we haven't even gotten that far yet because it wasn't worth getting there if the BZA and the council decided that it wasn't the appropriate location for this.
So since none of our zoning,
I did make a phone call because I wanted to familiarize myself with this since it was the first one that I had ever seen come through. State licensing is done across the board the same way. So they won't, they will come, look at the look at where the facility, and they will assess how many bodies they can have in there at one time. They will do all of that, how many employees is needed, and I did have them, I mentioned some of it in the staff report, but I did ask for like a day in the life of a crematorium. And the steps were, the intake the remains, preparing a cremation, post-cremation, interaction with family, maintenance and cleaning up. So they will come in and assess all of that before they're given a license, because they have to comply with the state. And I also put in a staff report that we wouldn't give a business license until we were sure that those compliances would take place. And I'm sure the attorneys will work with us when we get to that point to make sure, so we won't be in the newspaper as that, what you say, you read it in some newspaper, so you won't be.
Saw it on the news, actually.
I did too.
Right, so that our staff, fire department, and everybody that looks at this will make sure that they're in compliance. I also asked, how many times do they come to, like, make sure that the process is going right? They told me as many times as they need to. So in other words, they don't tell you when they're coming, they just come to inspect the facility. And when the lady told me as many times as they need to, I guess that meant if somebody had a complaint, that would be, we need to.
Okay.
So I did make a call because after the gentleman showed up at the meeting, I wanted to be just a little more prepared on what the Board of Zoning Appeals may ask me, and also what the council may ask when it gets to council level.
So our zoning ordinance does not allow a crematorium in any of our zoning codes. So that's,
So I put
as the
the
attorney pointed out,
zoning-
that's why we're here for.
That's why we're here.
Okay. Not what they're doing, but if they can.
If we're going to allow them, what they're doing will be scrutinized by the state and what have you,
Okay.
when that time comes. And of course, our attorneys will make sure that they have the proper licensing. But right now, they don't want to have to go through, just like with daycares, just like with any other licensing from the state does not give, will not give them a license until they're sure that they have this permission.
Right. Thank you. Are there any questions to the board?
I got one, actually. I know that the funeral home down the street, further down on Broadway, they also do pets.
Yes.
So will you be doing pets here?
My indication is there's
No
there's
pets?
nothing for pets. Is there any discussion about it?
There was discussion about
Okay,
it.
that's news to me.
Yeah, but there, right now, it's just gonna be human,
Okay,
yeah.
nothing wrong with that, but.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment. I think it's a great idea for the fact of, my father just passed away a couple years ago. It cost my mom $60,000 for his service in a Catholic traditional service. Not everybody can afford it. And to be able to have a service with some kind of dignity, this is a novel idea, in my opinion. I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll open it to the audience. Would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? And one last time, would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for approval of Z4 VUL 0225 with, for this petitioner only, at this location only, for this use only, and follow all state, of Indiana codes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
We have a first and a second for approval. Can we get a vote, please?
Mr. Zweig,
Yes.
Christopher Mellon,
Yes.
Pete Gibb, yes. William Byers,
Yes,
Tim Fortier,
Yes.
5-0, Chairman.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Can I confirm that's going to the council meeting, what date and time the council meeting is at?
Because I don't set that agenda, I will call and let you know.
Thanks, Sheila.
The town council sets their own agenda, so I'll call and let you know.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your help.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, we're going to move on to new business. First case is Z5V1-0325, Lamar Advertising, petitioner, and Sec 1710 LLC, owner, located at 1710 West 81st Avenue. Variance of developmental standard approval on 2.32 acres in a C3 highway commercial zoning district to erect a new 14 by 48-foot V-shaped steel sign. And everyone did get the updated version? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is TJ Simpson. I'm the Assistant General Manager for Lamar Advertising of Northwest Indiana. We were approached by the owner of the property at 1710 West 81st Street asking if we would like to put a billboard on that property. We have billboards on other pieces of property for this owner. We assessed it, looked like an ideal situation. We have the supply and demand in Merrillville to add this board. However, we don't have the spacing. So the code calls for 1980. We have one board 1525 to the west. On the north side, not the same side of the street, north side, we have one 1139 feet away. We are asking for a spacing variance so that we can erect this billboard.
Thank you. Staff report, please.
Petitioner is seeking a variance from developmental standards approval from section 21-192C2 on 2.32 acres in a C3 highway commercial zoning district to allow an advertising sign to be located within 1,525 feet to the west of an already existing ad sign on US Highway 30 and 1,139 feet to the east of the existing off-premise sign. Lamar Advertising intends to construct a new 14 by 48 V-shaped steel monopole sign. The petitioner this petition relates only to the spacing between the existing signs along US 30. There are off-premise signs along US 30 on both sides that direct customers to businesses. The change will not negatively impact the growth of the area. The surrounding areas on both sides of US 30 are currently developed as highway commercial zoning districts. Strict application of the zoning ordinance will not allow Lamar to build a sign and therefore not be able to implement the sign location.
Thank you. I will bring it to the board for questions.
The sign is 14 by 48 in size. Is it electronic also, right?
No, this one is only a static, meaning vinyl, and 14 by 48 is the same size as the other boards in the area.
Okay, and then how high off the ground?
We would stay within the limitations. I'd have to look and see if we've already come up with a haggle for that, which is what we call how high, but I don't believe that has been determined already, but it could not be higher than the regulations.
Because when I came to the meeting, I counted at least 6 billboards down 30 within probably a mile to 2 miles.
There are a lot of billboards in Northwest Indiana.
Yeah.
However, I'll tell you, for the most part, they're sold. The demand is crazy.
Well, I'm thinking we set certain standards and limits so that we wouldn't be so congested that we become a downtown Vegas on
I
our
understand.
Route 30. I mean, more isn't always better sometimes.
I completely understand that.
There's a lot of businesses in that area that are trying to attract the attention of the passersby, and signs attracting the passersby, and people not recognizing stop signs and stop traffic in front of them. A lot of noise in the area.
If I can respond to that, our industry, our company have spent a lot of money to do investigations into that. We've also had outside companies do investigations. We've had federal companies do investigations. There's been no proof that billboards distract drivers.
Okay, good. That's interesting. How do you get their attention without distracting them?
We're part of the landscape.
Okay. I just completed a course for the fire department on distracted driving, and they didn't mention anything about billboards. So I'm sure if it was a problem, they would have mentioned it in my training.
We did years of studies putting people in a booth with a moving screen in front of them, a roadway, and the amount of time that the eye flickers to look at something and then back, it's almost imperceptible. The amount of time the brain takes to pick that message up is milliseconds.
Is the support centered, or is it cantilevered from one end?
This one would be, it would be what we call a flag, so on one end. However, it will be engineered so that it's not a full flag, so it would probably be 70%, 30%.
I'm sorry. In looking at the site plan, what's the fall radius? It looks like they're gonna have things parked directly underneath this thing.
So we will be placing it where this tree is located, and I'm not sure if anyone's looking at the DVG drawing here, but there's some green space to the left, and if we need to take up that parking spot to the right, we can. However, our crews are all OSHA, they're union crew. If we are ever on this board, there will be nothing underneath. And all of our employees, all of our installers wear harnesses. We have safety cables. We take safety extremely seriously.
But we just had a tornado 2 weeks ago that came through pretty much close to that area. Would this withstand a 1, 2, 3 category tornado?
The wind loads that we have to build these things to, yes. That tornado just came through. Those billboards are all still standing.
Any other questions from the board?
I don't have any.
I'm good, Chairman.
Seeing none, I'll open it to the audience. Would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Would anyone like to speak for or against the petitioner? And one last time, would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board for motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Z5V1-0325 for this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Can we get a vote, please?
Mr. Jeff Zweick,
Yes.
Christopher Mellon,
Yes.
Pete Gipp, yes. William Byers,
Yes.
Tim Fortier,
No.
4-0, Chairman, approved.
It passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Four, 4-1, I'm sorry, 4-1, I'm sorry. One, oops, no.
All right, our next case is Z6E4-0325. Ahmad Imud petitioner and AJZ Merrillville LLC owner located at 1777 West 81st Avenue. Special exemption approval on 3.16 acres in a C3 highway commercial zoning district to allow a used car dealership. And I apologize if I totally messed up your names.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. You said it right.
I'll go by Andy. This is Adam, actually, Ahmad Mahmoud. We own High-End Motors. Right now, it's open in Chicago, and we're looking to move it here to this location at 1777 West 81st Avenue in Merrillville. It used to be a Subaru dealership. They relocated and built a nice one. So we took it over, and we'd like to expand our business into that in the used car business and high-end, use luxury, high-end cars, but used, of course.
Can we get a staff report, please?
Petitioner is seeking special exception approval from section 21-136 on 2.61 acres in an existing C3 highway commercial zoning district to open up a used car dealership at 1777 West 81st Avenue. The dealership will hold approximately 200 to 220 vehicles with 10 to 15 parking spots for customers. The proposed site is a now vacant Subaru dealership. The petitioner has already signed lease with AJZ Merrillville. The service department will consist of 8 service bays to perform oil changes, tune-ups, tire changes and rotations, wheel alignments, and etc. Everything except engine and transmission replacement. The establishment, maintenance, and operation of the proposed special exception will not be detrimental or endanger the public health, safety, and general welfare, and is in accordance with the comprehensive plan because the used car dealership would adhere to all zoning regulations as well as make sure to minimize any negative impact to the public health and surrounding neighbors. The proposed special exception will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other properties in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted, nor a neighborhood, because care will be given again to minimize any negative impacts surrounding the neighbors, as well as taking the appropriate measures to ensure the property design will not disrupt the overall aesthetics of the neighborhood. The establishment of the proposed special exception will not impede the normal or orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties for the use permitted in the district because the proposed special exception is in accord with the intended purpose of the zoning district and does not conflict with any other existing or future development. Adequate utilities, access roads, drainage exist and will be upgraded if necessary. Adequate measures will be taken to ensure proper strategically controlled traffic to avoid interference. There is a public necessity for the special exception approval in that the dealership cannot operate without granting special exception approval. This is a vacant car dealership site. The hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and closed on Sunday. There will be approximately 10 to 15 employees for this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
Thank you. Need a drink of water?
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
I will bring it to the board for questions.
How long has this site been empty?
Yeah, over a year.
Yeah,
Here?
they built a new one further west.
The previous dealership, was it the same amount of cars, about 200 to 220?
The one we have now currently?
No,
No, so, yes.
Oh, the Subaru?
Yes.
Subaru.
Oh, yeah, they had a lot more. They're a new car store. They had new and used.
Okay, so they have more than.
Oh, yeah. It fits more than that, too.
I think it's a good idea.
It's a big lot. They had trailers, camping trailers there too.
Are you you just gonna sell used cars or new ones too?
Hopefully, we can get a new car ticket in the future, but right now, it's just used. If you guys wanna help us, I mean, we're down, we get one.
You want to put me out something nice to drive, I will.
Yes, no problem, you guys can get it.
My concern is with all the mechanic bays and stuff. So are you going to be working on just your cars?
For the time being, I mean, we're gonna get the right staff in there, I mean, but there's really no need for us to work on the outside. There's a place right next door to us, I think they do oil changes and stuff like that. And we're just gonna be busy with our cars. When they come from the auction, make sure they're good. You know, we only have a week or two to check the cars out before we can either keep them or send them back to the auction. So we're gonna be busy enough with our own, and then our own clients that we sell the cars to, we sell them warranties. So they're gonna wanna come back to us to do the warranty work. That's all we're gonna be doing.
Okay. And there's no additional requirements if they run a auto repair shop, Sheila?
I'm sorry.
If they were to run an auto repair shop other than repairing their own cars, is there additional requirements for that?
There's not additional requirements, but that needs to be a part of the approval, because I didn't put that in the staff report, that they would be allowed to do other cars.
Correct.
I didn't put that in the staff report. You can
Right.
just add it.
So at this time, they would not be allowed to do outside work. They can only work on their own cars, the way it's written.
That's up to you. The
Right.
Board is only.
The way it's written right
The
now.
way I wrote it, yes,
Right.
because yeah.
But even though our car is our customers, if a customer walks in with a car and something goes wrong with it and bring it to our dealership,
That's
we'd
not
be
up.
responsible to fix it for them.
Right, it would be titled as you being the previous owner to
Yeah.
it, though. Right.
Right.
So only cars that you guys have sold in the past or present or future is what I'm understanding, okay?
Customer comes in to buy a used car, and then he has a car, so you take his car, and if you can't resell it, then does it go to the auction or,
We send it to the auction.
okay?
Are there any other questions from the board? Seeing none, I will open it to the audience. Would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? And one last time, would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve case number Z6E4-0325 for this use at this location only and for any repairs for their vehicles only.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Can we get a vote, please?
Mr. Swike,
Yes.
Christopher Mellon,
Yes.
Pete Gibb, yes. William Byers,
Yes,
Tim Fortier,
Yes.
Congratulations.
5-0, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate it.
So I will let you know when you'll go on to the town council agenda,
Okay.
okay?
The zoning, do you sign that now, or?
Can you come see me in my office? Call me tomorrow.
Sure.
I like Jaguars, guys. Jaguars are nice. You're welcome, guys.
thank you.
Our next case is Z7E5-0325. Lorraine and Nathaniel Jelks, petitioner and owner located at 8008 Tyler Street, special exemption approval on .395 acres in a C3 highway commercial zoning district to allow a daycare. Welcome.
Hello. Okay, what we're doing is we closed one business, which was an adult daycare, and we're opening a child daycare. And the reason for closing the adult daycare was decline in the client and insurances. So it is a business. We cannot operate on 2 or 3, clients. So my plan B was to open a child daycare. Actually, that's basically it.
Okay. Staff report, please.
Petitioner is requesting special exception approval from Section 21-136 in the C3 Highway Commercial Zoning District to operate Laura Leanna's Tiny Tots Incorporated Daycare at 8008 Tyler Street. Previously, petitioner operated an adult daycare. Now petitioner is seeking to operate in a 2,800 square feet space, a daycare for children. Said daycare will have 3 employees on staff and will be open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., but closed on Saturday and Sunday. Daycare will service children ages 2 through 12 years old. There will be 15 to 20 children attending the daycare. The daycare will put an emphasis on the daily learning, comfort, safety, but provide fun-filled group activities while providing a nurturing environment. Petitioner has outlined curriculum for the children to include math, language, science, physical skills, etc. The petitioner states that the establishment and maintenance or operation of the proposed special exception of use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare, and is in accordance with the comprehensive plan because the daycare will follow all the town rules and regulations. The daycare will follow all the state rules to operate a daycare. There is a safety plan for the children to enter and exit the building. The proposed variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the daycare will not disrupt other businesses in the area. The establishment of the special exception approval proposed will not impede the surrounding properties for the uses permitted in the district. The daycare will operate on the petitioner's property. The daycare will not obstruct or hinder other businesses. Adequate utilities, access road, drainage, and other necessary facilities already exist. Adequate ingress and egress exist as well. The parking is adequate for the daycare center, and this is for this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
Thank you. I will bring it to the bring it to the board for questions, please.
Yes, do you have like a teacher's license or something so that you can teach these students?
I don't have the license as of yet. I'm going through all the proper trainings through the state, and I needed this permit here to move forward.
Okay, and then are you going to have any paras to help you out with the 20 students?
Yes.
Okay.
How many employees?
3.
3? That's a lot of kids for 3 people.
Well, the state allows so many kids per caregiver. So we're within their limit, what their requirements are.
I see where the ages are 2 to 12. So my thoughts are when you get up to 12, they're not at school, so they're either physically or mentally impaired. No?
No, just up to 12 years old. No, I mean, that's the age where I wanted to limit it, because once they're 13 or 14 years old, they're pretty much at home by themselves,
I just thought they would be at school.
So you're talking about, for the older children, you're talking about aftercare, after daycare.
Correct.
So she's talking
Aftercare.
about after daycare for the older children when they get out of school, up to 12.
Up to 12. Okay, I got you.
I think child daycares are probably more regulated than hospital facilities anymore, and justly so, to reduce, keep the children safe. So.
Correct.
So they will not give her a license until after the state fire inspector has came out to inspect. They will also tell her when they come how many children can be in this space. It is by a space thing. Babies have to be, if she take the babies, they have to be in a room where you can walk right out the door. So all of that, as Tim said, is regulated by the state, and they will come in after the license, after they get this part, they will come in, and she won't be able to open up until she gets all of that.
Meets all of that.
Even the ratio of employees to
Children.
children is regulated based on age and government regulations. Any other questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll bring it to the audience. Anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? And one last time, would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Z7E5-0325, this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
I will second the motion.
We have a first and a second. Can we get a vote, please?
Jeff Zweig,
Yes.
Christopher Mellon,
Yes.
Pete Kip, yes. William Byers.
Yes.
Tim Fortier,
Yes,
5-0.
5-0.
Thank you.
Hope it works better than the adult.
Yeah, so you get kind of attached to the elderly too, and it was put a kind of strain on them. So,
Yeah.
It's a great attachment.
Yeah.
Web Hyundai, you guys, that was
Yes.
your easement?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, okay, I remember that from the planning commission. You both look very familiar, and I'm like, I've seen them before.
Yes, and we did win that.
Yes, you did.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, have a blessed day.
Okay.
Our next case is Z8E6-0325. Amador Gutierrez, petitioner, and Omar Lopez, owner, location at 2225 West Lincoln Highway. Special exemption approval on .684 acres in a C3 highway commercial zoning district to allow a dine-in restaurant. Welcome.
Hello, how are you? My name is Amador, and I'm trying to open El Jimador Bar and Grill in Merrillville, Indiana, and 2225 address. The address is 2225 West Lincoln, Merrillville Highway.
And you're planning on starting a new restaurant and an
Yeah.
existing restaurant?
The new restaurant. We have more restaurants, but there was new one in here.
Empty building.
Correct.
Yeah.
Staff report, please.
Petitioner is seeking special exception approval from section 21-136 to operate a dine-in Mexican restaurant in a C3 highway commercial zoning district at 225 West Lincoln Highway. Said restaurant, El Jimador, will be open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. El Jimador is the seasoned restaurant chain with 7 other locations that are all successful. The site was a previous restaurant, therefore, the infrastructure already exists to support another restaurant. Furthermore, the establishment of the proposed special exception will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding areas and properties for the uses permitted in the district because the restaurant will not obstruct or hinder other businesses. The parking is adequate for the restaurant. The restaurant has 80 seats on the patio and 106 seats inside the restaurant. The restaurant will employ approximately 16 individuals. For this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
Thank you, and I will bring it to the board for questions.
Are you planning on having entertainment there?
Not yet right now. Just trying to open it right now and see how it's working. Maybe later.
How long has the previous restaurant been closed?
I don't know, like
Be in a few years.
maybe 1 year ago. I'm not sure.
2 years, about 2 years.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, 2 years.
because they had a fire
And then they
about
opened,
6 years ago, and then they reopened.
then they reopened, yeah.
Yep.
Are you gonna keep the patio the way it is, or are you gonna enclose that?
No, we keep in the patio open.
the board if you would have brought samples with you.
Most definitely.
Okay,
I'd like to see you one day.
we'll come in.
All right.
Any other questions from the board?
Well, the place needs a lot of work.
I haven't been inside of it.
Well, I just look at the outside, so,
It's been there a long time.
yeah.
Back to when it was the Stones and Bones.
Be German Inn,
Oh, that's right.
Need stones and bones, yeah.
Yeah.
German Inn, that's what started that, years ago. They're too young for that.
Any other questions from the board? Now that we're all reminiscing and hungry, I can tell everybody's ready to go home and eat. Seeing no questions from the board, I'll take it to the audience. Would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? And one last time, would anyone like to speak for or against this petitioner? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I'll make a motion for case Z8 E60325, special exception approval for this petition only, at this location only, and for this use only.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Can we get a vote, please?
Jeff Zweig,
Yes.
Christopher Mellon,
Yes.
Pete Gip, yes. William Byers.
Yes.
Tim Fortier.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Okay,
When you gonna open up? How soon you gonna open up?
yeah, I will let you know. He asked when did you know when you
When
were
you
gonna
see the
open?
flags flying and the
Okay.
band
So
playing.
I'll let you know when you go before the town council,
That's
okay?
businesses which are
All right.
closed on Route 30. Wanna get
Can we get a motion for adjournment?
this place,
I'll make a motion.
right on Route
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.